And welcome to the final session of our 49th annual ASHE General Conference. My name is Jason Guilbeau. I use he and him pronouns. I am a tall person with a dark beard and dark hair, blue glasses, and I am wearing a blue sweater with the ASHE logo that is very comfortable and available in the ASHE merch store. If you attended Friday's plenary panel, you learned about the complexities of Minnesota NICE. We've spent the past 2 years learning about the Dakota people who are the caretakers of this land. I also want to recognize the contributions of Black communities and other marginalized groups whose historical labor and sacrifices, both enslaved and free, have often gone unacknowledged in the traditional narratives of Minnesota. Returning to Minnesota wasn't our original plan, but I am grateful that we have been able to deepen our relationship with this community. In 2023, the Local and Community Engagement Committee wrote our land acknowledgement, our first Minneapolis syllabus, facilitated the Why Treaties Matter exhibit, and sought to build relationships in the community, moving us beyond the walls of the hotel to begin building reciprocal relationships. My appreciation to Jamaica Del Mar, J.D. Lopez, and their committee last year for laying the foundation for this work. This work was picked up this year by Tania Mitchell, Tabitha Cruz, and the 2024 Local and Community Engagement Committee. This year, through the LCEC, we have provided an extension of the syllabus, offered visits to the George Floyd Memorial, facilitated by the Minneapolis Agape Movement, learned from Kenda Zellner-Smith with Save the Boards, and hosted an institute with Minnesota Tribal College leaders thanks to the leadership of Natalie Youngbull and Roberto Orozco and funding from Ascendium. I also want to recognize Tamia Mitchell for her work in developing ASHE's first ever labor acknowledgement. I look forward to the path forward to more fully integrate this practice into the association. Finally, through the leadership of the 2023 Land Tax Work Group led by Robin Menthorn and this year's selection committee, we will be donating $1,700 each to the Minneapolis American Indian Center, the Minneapolis Native American Community Clinic, and Red Lake Nation College's Emergency Aid and Housing Fund. There's still time to contribute to these funds. The QR code is up on the screen if you would like to. All this to say that with even over 500 scholarly presentations throughout these past few days, it is clear that we continue our movement as an association to be responsible visitors to the land that we visit and the people with whom we have an opportunity to engage with. I especially want to recognize our Indigenous Scholars Collective, who have long pushed us towards and led us in this important work. Definitely, thank you. As we leave Minnesota today, after being engaged with this community for the past 2 years, I want to extend my appreciation to this community for continuing to welcome us and allowing us to engage. I also want to thank ASHE leadership volunteers, as primarily led by the Local and Community Engagement Committee, for their service to the association in building, establishing, and nurturing these relationships. Finally, we've been in the same hotel for the past 2 years, and I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize our banquet staff, our AV staff, housekeeping, and all of us who welcomed us into their home that is the Hilton over these past 2 years. At this time, I'd like to invite 2024 Conference Committee Chair Hiro to the stage for one final time to provide you with his reflections and celebrations from the past few days.
All right. Hey, everybody. No pink tie today. A black turtleneck and a black jacket with very subtle stripes, but still the same tired-looking face, black hair with lots of gray and facial hair. And I got a dark navy blue jeans, and my fun attire for today is dark blue sneakers with a gold accent. No, I'm not a Michigan graduate. Proud to graduate of Cal State Long Beach and UCLA. All right, anyways, lots of thanks to give. Thank you, Jason, Alicia, and entire ASHE staff. Thank you for your partnership over the last year and a half in planning this conference. Managing a membership association can be hard. I know because I work for one of them. Don't tell that to my bosses. You know, the way the member, sort of the experience shape, every members have different ideas of what the organization is and it does, and sort of based on how we interact with the organization. You know, one case in point is, to me, you know, one of the Education Research Association does is keep reminding me that I haven't paid a membership dues. You know which one that is, but just kidding. But the point is, there are a lot that happens behind every emails, every webinars, every events, and every annual meetings. And you help the organization keep going. And also ensuring that there is spaces for leadership, creativity, and growth. So thank you so much for the ASHE staff for giving that space. And I think the community is so fortunate to have you. Thank you, conference ombudspersons, accessibility coordinator, on-site childcare provider, and hotel staff, and everybody. Thank you to sponsors, exhibitors, BIPOC vendors, Hokahe singers, Agape Movement, Save the Boards. Many people to thank. Thank you, conference committee members and all the volunteers. Thank you to the leadership team. Amanda, happy birthday. Gina, Jonathan, Rosie, Tabitha, and Tania, thank you so much for your partnership over the last year in working with me. And thank you to all of you for co-creating this space for the scholars to come together and animate and give voices to our field. And Jeni, thank you for this honor and opportunity to serve. This has meant so much more to me than my general, jaded, and non-expressive vibe might suggest. Some of you might have heard this story before, but I almost canceled my ASHE membership in 2021. You know, after graduate school, I held on to ASHE membership as if that was the sort of only card that legitimized myself as a scholar. At that time, I had been a researcher at the Higher Education Research Association for 7 years, 4 years as a head, taught for programs that's represented in this community as an adjunct, mentored, supervised doctoral students and a postdoc, got grants, reviewed proposals, manuscripts, and published, interviewed, all that kind of things. But the feeling of inadequacy always came along, and I could not quite find my place at ASHE. Then I saw Jeni's name on the ballot. So I thought, you know what, I'll stay for 1 more year so that I can vote for her. And if she got elected, ASHE will get 3 more years of me. Then guess what happened? She got elected. And here I am to have this opportunity to do it. So the theme for this conference is, personal one for me, as well as, as it is for Jeni and for many of you here. And the last few days with you have been incredible time for learning and reflection, for my own insecurity and biases. And, I too have been guilty of counting myself and by extension, scholars like me out as scholars. Consciously or unconsciously deferring to normative indicators of scholarly achievements or prestige. And I need to do better. And that was one reflection I had. And to be sure, the theme, I am a scholar, is not just a self-affirmation statement, but also is a call for each of us to see scholars in each other's and advocate for them. And we can do a lot of things. Many of us here are in positions of some type of power. Some of us can hire people. Some of us might be in a position to promote somebody or admit graduate students. Some of you serve as journal editors, conference planning committees, or just, you all are leaders in this community. So when we are at the table next time, can we make sure that we recognize and speak up for the time someone have devoted to animate and give voices to your research? There are many people who volunteer their time for this conference, and that was the time that they could have otherwise spent on their own research, but they choose to serve in a variety of capacities so that we can have these kind of experience. Can we speak up to critically examine unnecessary criteria and normative criteria for qualification in job search process? I still don't understand why tenure is a requirement for dean or academic administrator position. And can we speak up when non-peer reviewed reports, community engagement works, or creating data set, or other types of scholarship are discounted by others at the table when you're discussing about somebody's scholarship? And I think we have work to do, but I'm up for it, and I think you are too. Adriana Rodriguez in the Attendee Engagement Committee created for us this space to reflect and engage each other about the evolution and the diverse perspectives of scholarly identity. And it pulled out some emerging themes from this one. You'll see that there are themes that show us how each of us are embracing the conference theme, I am a scholar. People have put messages that speak to our identity and positionality as scholars, as well as persistence and bravery required to be one. And you also see themes like community and collaboration, and knowledge creation and dissemination. And when I see that, now the theme of I am a scholar had evolved to we are scholars. And as we see ourselves and each others as scholars, we are now figuring out ways to engage with each other in a meaningful way and complement and collaborate, not compete in moving the field forward. This is critical, as there's never more important time than now to mobilize the collective expertise and the power of this community to help elevate the field and move the country forward, and ultimately for us to serve collectively for empathetic and healing and liberation and justice. That's another theme that emerged from this board. So I'm very proud to say that I am a scholar, and we are scholars. And Madam President, I'm happy to report that your conference committee has delivered the theme of the 49th Annual Conference of the Association for the Study of Higher Education. Thank you again for the honor of serving as the chair this year.
Just some lo-fi afternoon tones. Thank you, Hiro, for your leadership of this year's conference over the past 2 years. Hiro was first appointed to the role around March of 2023 and has been instrumental in guiding and supporting many of the new initiatives and expanded initiatives that we've experienced in these past few days. Thank you, Hiro. I'd like to spend a few minutes to highlight some of our shared accomplishments from this past year as an association. Over the past few years, we've worked to deepen your membership experience, so when we ask you to pay your dues, you will want to pay your dues. One of the most important things to me was to better understand how we can do that. In 2023, we sent out 17 assessments, including one for every event we hosted, one for current members, one for volunteer leaders. Earlier this year, the assessment expert on our team, Aaron Satterwhite-David, pulled this feedback together into a 170-page report and 8 overarching themes. What these findings tell me is that we have some work to do, but we also need to do better to communicate with you all the opportunities that you have through your membership. ASHE has grown to be much more than a conference. One of the ways in which we aim to support you all throughout your scholarly career is through professional development. ASHE leadership volunteers and the ASHE staff continue to partner to offer professional development events throughout the year. For those of us who have been around for a while, you remember that these were once hosted during the conference on Wednesday and Thursday, so in person only. Now we have multiple events each month, including our standing professional development events, such as the Early Career Faculty Workshop and the CEP Mentor Protege Program, as well as events offered by our entities, such as KHEP's Program Coordinators Corner and the CIHE webinar series. Thanks to all of our event leaders and panelists for creating and facilitating these impactful events. When we work on these events, it's a team effort amongst the staff, from Naomi creating promotional plans, Briante managing event registrations, Aaron helping to staff event, but I especially want to recognize Alicia for her leadership and partnership on all of these events. Her partnership with these event leaders and panelists is imperative to their success. I'm also excited to share that in 2025, we'll be launching some new events, so stay tuned. We also recognize that in addition to serving our current scholars, we have a broader responsibility to the future of the field. This past year, Doctors Annie Wofford and Ray Middick, along with staff partner Aaron Satterwhite-David, led a strategic work group on doctoral student recruitment. We've learned from you all that recruiting doctoral students is becoming tougher and more complex for a variety of reasons. We're excited to receive their final report in the coming weeks and to be able to do more and to do better to support academic programs with recruitment. Thank you to Ray, Annie, Aaron, and their committee, as well as about the 25 members who participated in focus groups over the past few months. Following that, when students join the association, we also recognize our responsibility to support access to the association and the field. Over the past 14 years, through the support of ASHE members, ASHE has awarded nearly $100,000 in travel scholarships to 359 graduate students. These funds help to make a difference, and for some, create the opportunity to attend the conference. Thank you to the donors who make this scholarship possible. With ASHE's 50th anniversary conference coming up next year, we're also considering how we deepen this impact. I'm excited to announce that the ASHE at 50 fundraising campaign has a goal of $100,000. The steering committee, led by Noah Dresner and Kimberly Griffin, are intentionally thinking about how we can provide financial support to ASHE members who may need it the most. One example of this is through the generosity of Doctors Chris Wren and Melissa McDaniels. Last year, Chris and Melissa made a donation to establish a research grant. I am excited to share that the ASHE Grants Committee, led by Travis York, has awarded the inaugural grant to Gabriel Rodriguez Lemus for their dissertation study. Thank you to Chris and Melissa for your generosity and for making possible the next generation of scholarship. I'm also excited to announce that even though this may be the first time you're hearing about this, we're already about halfway to our goal, and we'll be releasing some more information about new scholarships and grants in the coming year. Absolutely. As we enter our 50th year, ASHE continues to remain in a good financial position. Over the past few years, the board has decided to strategically use funds from our reserve account to invest in the association. This is including hiring 2 new staff members in 2023. Because of this and other investments, the association finished both fiscal year 2023 and is expecting to finish fiscal year 2024 with financial deficits. As you likely know, with the cancellation of the contracts in New Orleans for this year's conference, we expect to pay a financial penalty to the hotel. The potential cancellation fee is about $200,000. The board has set aside these funds and will know the actual amount in the coming weeks. We'll share an update with the membership with the final total. I do want to add, as every nonprofit, our financial data are publicly available through the GuideStar website. And if you have any questions about our financials as an association, I'm always willing to answer any questions. With all of the things happening in the association, I recognize that sometimes it's difficult to keep up with long emails, Facebook posts, Twitter posts, or even make time for the opportunities that we do offer. However, I also recognize that we have opportunities to better communicate with you all, our members, and we're working to do that. Earlier this year, we launched New Member Orientation and Membership Monday. These sessions provide members of our community with information on ways to get involved, activities of the association, and networking. Thanks to the ASHE leadership volunteers who have served on panels for these events, and Erin on our staff for her leadership. This year alone, we've welcomed 448 new members to the association and 487 first-time attendees to this conference. We hope that the efforts to better engage with you all from the beginning will be fruitful for your membership in ASHE and into our scholarly community. Additionally, last year, we produced our first ever, to my knowledge, annual report. This document showcases the things we achieved in 2023, and especially the ASHE members who were instrumental in making those things possible. Watch for our 2024 report coming out in 2025. One of the things that I'm most excited to announce that after a nearly 2-year process, which started with a full IT audit of the association, IT information technology, we'll be launching a new membership system, event registration system, and website in early 2025. We've heard from you all about the limitations of our current site, and trust me, the staff have our own. We're excited to offer you all an updated interface with the association through how you find content on our website, how you join or renew your membership, and how you register for events. Thanks to Naomi on our staff for her leadership of this project, and to the ASHE staff for juggling onboarding of the new website over the past few months, along with planning this week's conference. Next year, we'll celebrate our 50th anniversary in Denver, Colorado, and after that, we'll keep the momentum going. Over the past 18 months, the ASHE Site Selection Committee, chaired by Chris Salinas, has worked to explore options for future conference locations. Today, I am excited to share the locations of our upcoming conferences with you. One of the changes you'll notice is that we'll be moving to convention centers. As we've grown, space isn't easy to come by unless we move into larger markets and add financial barriers to our attendees. Think New York, Boston. With San Juan, Albuquerque, and Providence, we're able to keep the cost to attendees relatively affordable while also continuing to expand opportunities for peer-reviewed content on the schedule, along with an expanded overall conference experience. Thank you to the Site Selection Committee for their work over these past 2 years. We'll follow up soon with a more formal announcement to the membership, including a full report on our process and decision-making. All of the work of this association wouldn't be possible without our small but dedicated staff. This week, we added 3 more folks to our on-site team. Sarah, who serves as our AV lead, Chris, who serves as our check-in lead and floater, and Autumn, who serves as our accessibility consultant. Our small team, yes. Our small team of 5 has benefited from their work this past week and over the past few months. Thanks for being our +3 for the week. Our core staff of Alicia, Briante, Aaron, and Naomi has formed into a dynamic team. I am constantly impressed by their thoughtfulness and dedication, but most importantly, I am so often blown away by the care they bring to this work. This includes thinking critically about how we can best support you all, our members. It also includes how we take care of ourselves and uplift each other. I am proud of how we celebrate each other through weddings surrounded by friends and family, time with family at the happiest place on earth, taking a break and connecting with nature, and with time for celebrations with family and loved ones. Thank you to this team for allowing me to lead you. If I've accomplished nothing else in my 6 years in this role, hiring the four of you is the thing I'm most proud of. I remember a few years ago when I was living in Vegas, my partner and I at the time had the Saturday afternoon tradition of shopping, mostly antiquing, and getting Jason's Deli for lunch. One Saturday, I had to take a phone call. I remember pacing around the parking lot as Jeni Hart and I talked on the phone for about 30 minutes. She was considering running for president and had some questions. As with nearly all presidential candidates, it took some convincing that she was a leader and someone who could meaningfully contribute to ASHE in this role. Soon after Jeni was elected, we started having a conversation about what it means for ASHE to return to the same location for 2 years for the first time and how we could envision 2024. Throughout her year as president-elect, and especially this year as president, I've witnessed how instrumental she has been in not only leading ASHE, but creating space for others to lead as well. Personally, I could have not navigated this year without her leadership, partnership, and friendship. Please join me in welcoming to the stage ASHE 2024 President, Dr. Jeni Hart.
Okay, I'm not sure why he did that because I'm a little bit of a mess right now, but well, we have done it, folks. As Jason mentioned, I'm Jeni Hart. I use she, her, hers pronouns, and I'm wearing a denim blazer with a pink blouse because that is the color of the conference, and green glasses. I have short brown hair, and am, like I said, thrilled to be here and to say a few last words before I turn it over to President-elect, who will be president in just a few minutes. I know she's not, she's like saying, speak longer, don't hurry. But I also have a few things I want to add before I welcome her. ASHE colleagues, what we have collectively accomplished this year is quite an achievement. As an association that continues to professionalize and examine who we are and who we can become, we must remain committed to our values and learn from our mistakes and successes. And we are able to do this work thanks to the many volunteer leaders and critical friends who give up their labor, time, and perspectives. As I noted in my address, in addition to the volunteer leaders, the work of the association, including the behind-the-scenes and invisible labor, advances because of the ASHE staff. I am indebted to you. I also owe so much to the members of the ASHE board. They have kept me and the association grounded and accountable. They have asked difficult and necessary questions. They served on committees, including a number of ad hoc committees, and set our strategic vision. In addition, one of its most important roles is as a fiduciary. It may not be the most glamorous part of the job, but it allows us to imagine ASHE's future. Please join me in thanking the members of the Board of Directors who completed their much valued service to all of us. Please join me in publicly thanking each of the members of the board who will end their current service in just about 30 minutes. 2023 President Ana Martinez Aleman. At-large board members, Felicia Commodore and Antonio Duran. CPPHE Chair, Kevin McClure. CIHE Chair, Christina Yao. Grad Rep, Hannah Hune-White. Budget, Finance, and Compliance Committee Chair, Ken Redd. Inclusion, Equity, and Organizational Diversity Committee Chair, Tamika Ferguson. I also want to welcome incoming board members, ASHE colleagues who exemplify professional service and collegiality. 2026 President, Robin Minthorn. At-large board members, Christine Nelson and Jeannie Betancourt. CPPHE Chair, Letty Bustillos. CIHE Chair, Katie Koo. Grad Rep, April Horn. It's always good to keep those wildcats on the board. Budget, Finance, and Compliance Committee Chair, David Nguyen. Legal counsel who's gotten a little bit of a head start, Blake Billings. Inclusion, Equity, and Organizational Diversity Committee Chair, Christopher Sewell. I want us to take a moment to recognize other contributors to ASHE this past year. I mentioned them briefly during my address, and I want to express my appreciation again for these colleagues who have given their time and expertise as part of the presidential initiatives that I gave further life to this year toward the conference theme. First, I know many of you, together with your students, were able to join our ACPA ASHE Presidential Symposium last month, hosted by ACPA President Rachel Aho and me. As ACPA celebrates its centennial and we begin to prepare for ASHE's 50th conference, our contributors discussed backward and forward, reflection, action, and inspiration for scholarship and praxis. The collaboration with ACPA also reflected this conference's theme, I Am a Scholar, showcasing the breadth of who is a scholar. We are grateful to Karen Francis Begay, Tim Kane, Steve Sutton, Jordan Shelby West, Christine Bowman, TJ Stewart, Alex Lang, Hannah Hune-White, Rosie Perez, and Ray Coralico for their thoughtful insights related to free speech, activism, anti-DEI legislation, and career sustainability. Second, you will soon be able to binge this season's ASHE Presidential Podcast Series, and you are in for a treat. Rather than weekly episodes, we treated it a little more like Bridgerton, so you can get all the content at once. And remember that the episodes are great for complementing your curriculum and inspiring your scholarship and praxis. Royal Johnson and Felicia Commodore once again bring their humor, commentary, and challenging questions to the fore. I still haven't identified 3 things I would do if I was invisible, which is one of the questions they asked me. Thank you, Royale and Felicia, for sharing your gifts with us. And a very special acknowledgement goes to our amazing guests, April Horn, Gaurav Harshay, Nadika Karun-Atne, Marjorie Dormy Williams, Wayne Black, Daniel Corral, Shelvia English, Leonard Taylor, Oyan Poon, Sharon Fries-Britt, and James Earl Davis. Third, I hope you've had the chance to attend the presidential session hosted by the Presidential Commission on Service. I'm excited to share their work more broadly in the near future. Thank you to Margaret Salee and LaShawn Washington for your leadership, and to its members, M. Yvonne Taylor, David Nguyen, Tim Kane, Catherine Cho, Tamara Bertrand-Jones, Cherry Lim, and Hannah Reyes. Also, many thanks to Aaron Satterwhite David, who provided her support for this work. Last, I hope you took the time to attend the presidential session today, hosted by the Presidential Commission on AI. They have compiled a rich set of resources that I am certain will be invaluable to the ASHE community. Thank you, Ben Selznick and Laura Smithers, for your leadership, and to the members of the commission, Denisa Gandara, Karina Salazar, Dimitri Morgan, Chris Glass, Victoria Melanie Brown, Michael Brown, and Tatiana Titareva. Also, thank you to Naomi Rodriguez, who was the ASHE staff partner to this group. I would be remiss not to say a few words about ASHE's Executive Director, Jason Guilbeau. Jason is always one or more steps ahead of me, for which I will be forever grateful. Had this not been the case, balls would have come crashing to the floor. In all honesty, as a volunteer leader, I don't think I would have been able to sustain my commitment to the presidency without Jason's leadership. He is able to see the smallest details and the biggest pictures. It is a rare person who has this ability. He is also an excellent supervisor, ensuring that staff have the opportunities to continue learning and advancing their skills and centering a culture of care and trust. ASHE is truly fortunate to have Jason as our executive director. It has been a privilege to be elected as ASHE president and to serve my term. ASHE is my scholarly home, and I am a better scholar because of those of you in this community. Organizations are value-laden, and ASHE is no different. It is because of ASHE's espoused values that align with my own that I have a place to belong. This is particularly important when we work in environments that are increasingly hostile to higher education and to inclusion, diversity, and equity. Having a community that aspires to challenge those externalities helps me continue to push ahead. Of course, I would be remiss not to acknowledge that ASHE has been and will continue to be challenged by its history. But it has benefited from that history, a history of scholars advancing educational justice and advocating for the role of higher education as a public good. We do this in myriad ways, including presentations, publications, practice, podcasts, professional development, policy making, teaching, activism, and service. Thank you for this opportunity to serve ASHE. I am excited to pass the proverbial baton to Eboni Zamani-Gallaher. Eboni is no stranger to the ASHE board, and I have no doubt will lead it and the association with great care. Recently, I noticed a post from Eboni on Facebook, and it reminded me of how self-aware and funny she is. She has this fabulous pair of socks that says, most likely to say it to your face. All joking aside, Eboni does not pull any punches and is very transparent. It is no doubt that these traits have paved the way for her many leadership roles, including as the new president of ASHE. I'm excited for her vision and grateful to work alongside her as I assume the past president role. Eboni, in celebration of your presidency, I am contributing to your on-point sock game. And Eboni, the stage is yours.
All right. Before you exit, because she's been trying to give me the baton for like 5 days. And I'm like, no, ma'am, you're still president. We're not in that relay race while you're trying to pass the baton. I'm out here running like, But speaking of passing and a changing of the guard, I just want to say thank you, Madam President, now immediate past president, Dr. Jeni Hart, 2023-24 President, and wanted to present this at our 49th anniversary of our conference in ASHE. Keep popping with that pink, mama. I was like, you in this pink and this green, you trying to get honorary with us or something? What's up? But y'all thank Jeni for her leadership with me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I promise I wasn't trying to appropriate the pink and green.
I was like, you sure you won the Delta Zeta? I mean, they pop pink and green too. All right. Oh, hello, ASHE family. Hello. I'm Eboni Zamani-Gallaher, and I am arguably short, some say a chocolate hobbit, but a brown-skinned lady with a burnt orange duster coat on and black pants and boots. I use she, her, hers pronouns. And I am so excited to usher in what will be 5 decades of ASHE next year. And I want to be able to present to you who is, what's going to work, teamwork, the team. So I have a dream team and want to share with you who our conference committee leadership team includes. So you may see some familiar faces. If I am living my best Shonda Rhimes, then anybody that's an executive producer or has a show has to have a showrunner, right? So Shonda to my Debbie Allen is Shonda. Shawna Patterson-Stevens. She is the point person, director, showrunner, choreographer for all things that will be our 50th golden anniversary. So thank you for saying yes, sis. I so appreciate you taking this on, Dr. Patterson-Stevens. And also within our leadership for the conference, chairing the program committee is Drs. Tanisha Lane and Marissa Vasquez. Give it up for them. Attendee engagement, I have the pleasure of having Drs. Wilson Okello and Alex Lang to steer that group. Last but not least, with our local and community engagement community, and let me just say, is Heather in the room right now? No? Okay. I laid eyes on Heather last night and was reduced to tears when I say, Oprah has, these are my favorite things. Heather's one of my favorite people, and I'm so happy she said yes. So Susanna Munoz and Heather Schotten, again, steering our local and community engagement committee, and within that, we still have a much fuller group of folks that are servant leaders that we so appreciate that are going to be endeavoring to work with us to give you a fully engaged experience throughout 2025 that leads up to a conference that's going to be all that and then some. Yes. I would be remiss if I didn't thank the headquarters staff. If you want to know the end, look at the beginning. And from the beginning, in 2018, when we had Jason to come on board as our executive director, game changer, right? We have experienced great growth as an organization, and I'm so happy to continue to learn, know, and grow with you, sir. And I also want to just say thank you to Alicia and Briante and Aaron and Naomi. Y'all rock. Thank you to our board of directors. And I think it's now time for us to go ahead and do a little unveiling. Yeah? See what's up for next year with our theme. Yeah, you good. All right. So the theme for next year is the bend in the arc. Activist praxis and justice through scholarly creative expression. So here's the deal. This kind of fell into my head, my mental space about a year ago, and it was because what was front of mind was Martin Luther King Jr.'s quote about The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. Now, I'm thinking about this in 2023 and in anticipation of knowing that 2024 was a national and a presidential election year. And so for that to be on my spirit in 2023, and now knowing what is on the other side a few weeks ago of said election, I believe that this theme is more imperative than ever, right? And so I want to call us to consider the fusion of our past and our future, as well as our right here and right now. The concept of an arc, well, it aligns with the actuality of progress and the more general story about the progress we think we've made, or at least the progress we like to tell ourselves. It's the idea that the story of the U.S. is a story of progress, but it is also, if we're keeping it real and 100, it is a story that's often been painful, it's been slow, sometimes stalled, but it's one where we keep endeavoring to move forward and to move towards that elusive, but as Barack said, more perfect union. So consider the arc of the country and what the character is in terms of the association. What character has our association played as we reflect on the arc of the field to make progress? And so I'm using this metaphor of the arc to also talk about a character arc, right? So as we think of a character arc, think of transformation, think about each one of us individually and personally within our own units on our campus, more institutionally and systemically, right? What does that look like in terms of the storyline, in terms of the character arc? The character begins as sort of one person and then gradually transforms into a different sort of person in response to changing developments in the story. As such is the case with ASHE. Earlier today, Ann Austin was talking about, remember when we could all meet in one room and there were 50 people, and ASHE actually was coupled with AAHE. See, so I'm going in the annals. You know, so there's some history here that some may be less familiar with. But thinking about our association and the character arc of its transformation, thinking about ourselves as scholars and our own interpersonal and inner journeys, and the character by which over the course of our own story and the life course of our profession, we are responding actively and always to changing developments within the story. And so I want you to consider, what is your arc? Because we're at an inflection point, and an inflection point of parallels, because arcs reflect a curving path of a moving object. And justice seems to be a moving object. Equity seems to be a moving target. And so with a curved trajectory as such, I want us to consider, as we move into celebrating our golden anniversary of 50 years, the arc of justice, bending slowly, but understanding that it does bend. It does bend because what goes around comes around, and eventually there's justice in the aftermath. So with the parallels between what is rhetorical and reality that have always existed as a continuing storyline, such as the case with ASHE, I want us to also play with the different story arcs and the storylines, because it's important for us to think outside the box. So next year, I boldly invite you to force yourselves to think about, what are some novel concepts and approaches to conferencing? How are we going to take some creative swings with how we come into the space next year in ways that allow for us to do the marrying of creativity and discovery and activism? We are in Minneapolis, and so we're at the home place of Prince. And so I got to throw down with a little Prince, adage here. So Prince is a quote that I like. And I think it is a through line in terms of our theme, in terms of the bend and the arc, and thinking about scholarly creative expression. He said, art is about building a new foundation, not just laying something on top of what's already there, right? So again, I came into the academy nearly 3 decades ago, My first ASHE was in 1997, so 27 years ago, having been in education 30. But I came into the academy excited to create. And I have stayed because I wanted opportunities to further build and do that with capable and smart people that I trust and care for. So I would love for us to recognize the power of our artistry as a community, our artistry as academics, and understand that we should be more boldly showcasing the enduring power of our excellence. In 2025, we'll endeavor to redesign, reimagine, and create worlds that are creative and fun within our space, to make way for environments that are evolving and elastic, because if we don't evolve, we'll evaporate. And so I want us to understand that, I don't know if you're like me, but there have been periods in my career whereby I have felt this tension and have been in constant conflict with what I'm doing and what I want to do. And so I think there's ways where scholarly creative expression is an art form. And we are artists, right? Art has relevancy, and we have a certain language and nomenclature. And per Will Smith, I am the paint, I am the brush, I am the canvas, I am a saint, but if you touch, I am a savage. There is a connection between who we are. The personal is political, and there's a connection between our scholarly activities and thinking about it as artistry as connected to our truth and knowing that there are multiple truths. I invite you to step outside the frame and to lean into creativity, understanding that as scholars, again, we are artists, and we can produce and disseminate high-quality content in more novel ways, innovative ways, reaching more people beyond the conventional ways that we have done so to foster deep connections. So, in sum, activist praxis is practice in terms of an art. It's an art, and it's a science, and it's a skill. And within this body, we have the skill sets, the knowledge, and the dispositions to have not just the practical application of theory, but to understand that what we do and how we walk our walk and talk our talk is a democratic praxis. It's a revolutionary praxis. It's activist leadership and scholarship in the making, that we have been who we are and who we seek to become. So I'm gonna close with a poem. This came to me just, days after the election. I had some streams of consciousness and wrote a handful of poems. I don't have a title for this. This is untitled. But here we go. Disillusioned dawn as the morning breaks, but dims the light, hope once high, now out of sight. A fevered pitch, a fevered fall, echoes loud in each disheartened hall. The promises like stars gleam and fell swiftly from midnight dreams. For words so bold and plans so grand now lie like dust across the land. Belief like feathers cast aside in the harshness of a colder tide. Yet still the winds of change blow near to sweep away the clouds of fear. The arc of justice, it bends, they say. Though slow the march, it finds its way. I'm looking forward to celebrating our golden anniversary, 5 decades and 50 years of the making, of taking stock of who we are and who we seek to be and who we've been. Thank you.